Hey there, and welcome to our very first episode of Are We There Yet? From Will You to I Do. We're so excited with our team at Wedding Venue Map is putting together a great way to connect our engaged couples to Central Florida wedding vendors who are experts in their field, ready to share their helpful tips and information and all kinds of great things and ways for you to help plan your wedding in easier, faster, quicker, and a lot less stress. So we're excited for our very first episode today. Today's topic is wedding dinner music, more than just in the background. You spend all this time figuring out the perfect songs for your wedding, your first dance and parent dances and walking down the aisle. But a lot of times, wedding dinner music is kind of the last thing that most couples think about. So today we're going to be here with the team from Press Play. Orlando and Ray brought their two companies together to create an entertainment company that's taking over our local Central Florida market. So exciting to see the two companies come together and form one big powerhouse. It was these same goals and principles of treating each event differently and with the highest level of customer satisfaction that has made Press Play the success that it is today. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
this is
so
awesome.
excited to have you and be our first guests on Are We There Yet?
Yes. Let's do it. It's going to be epic. We're just going to raise the bar. Everybody else is going to be like, how are we going to be better than Press Play? It's going to happen. It's going to
Well,
happen.
I know when we started talking about topics and, the three of us were kind of brainstorming and what topic could we deep dive into? And I was like, what is the one thing that you guys are the most passionate about? You literally on Zoom looked at each other and were like, dinner music.
Yeah.
It was like no hesitation. And, I think it was so funny because I don't remember which one of you said it, but you were like, I hate when people call it background music.
Yes. It's the truth. It's the most looked over part of a wedding day. Yeah, and it's not. It's such a key point for guests and DJs themselves. And we'll go over all of that. You'll see. It's very important.
So when, the couples are choosing their music and they, start picking all that ceremony music and then they're off taking pictures and spending, time getting all their portraits done during cocktail hour, right? They're not really, most people don't even consider or think about cocktail hour music. And that's usually, people mulling around, but then announcements and the big to do. And now we're sitting down and we're eating dinner. And so how do you begin to, explain to your couples why dinner music is more than just background music?
Awesome. So yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of couples, like we said, kind of, well, depending on how you feel about your day and how much planning you've gone into it, but I would say a majority of our couples will say things like, oh yeah, just play some background music, play some instrumentals, something in the background. And that's usually what we get from our clients, but that's where we like to just jump in real quick and talk about how important dinner music really is, not just instrumental stuff.
Yeah, Ray, what is that when somebody says to you, can you just play something in the background? Do you like twitch a little? Like, oh.
Kind of. No, kind of. I mean, you gotta understand. Sometimes the couples, they have so much in their mind as far as planning that they kind of oversee certain things, and that's just one more thing in their checklist for them to have to think about. So they kind of like see a DJ company, they hire a DJ company, play whatever, and that's usually like their mentality. But you have to understand that, when it comes to sections like cocktail and dinner, and then specifically dinner, it's a time where you kind of get to preview your guests, preview the guests that are going to be there. So, just playing whatever, kind of like, you kind of waste some of that time, where you could be previewing, who's going to be there, what kind of crowd do you have, and the type of crowd that's going to be vibing to the music that potentially the client already picked, because sometimes they might pick a certain style of music for the reception, and depending on the crowd, day of, they might not all be there. That might want to listen to that.
So that's
that kind of music, yeah.
That's exactly. A really like interesting concept, right? So you're looking at
you down and start out.
Yeah, so you're looking at like that hour of, right? Dinner's usually on average about an hour.
Yep, about an hour.
Right?
Yep.
So
Correct.
you're looking at that hour as a way, when you say the word preview was an interesting way to describe it. So you're looking at like, using that to kind of try to, it sounds like you're saying something about like trying to figure out more about the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct. So
The word that we like to use, I'll let you go ahead and go, Ray. But the word that we like to use is connect, is to be able to connect with our crowd. Go ahead, Ray.
correct. Exactly. Yeah. So it's exactly. So just a way to connect with your crowd, just try to figure out, if the crowd that the couple was kind of hoping to be there. For example, the couple could just, party had some a good amount of younger crowd to be part of their wedding, and the day of it might be the opposite. It might be completely opposite. Maybe the younger crowd didn't show up, and here they are with a playlist of, in the reception that's just, urban, for example, and all their, uncles and grandparents are the ones who showed up, so it's kind of like, is this really going to work for them, so being able to use that dinner out, be able to kind of figure out what kind of music they, if it matches up, if it's what they're hoping to accomplish when it comes to the dancing part.
Yeah, I think that like when I go out to dinner at a restaurant, we don't really oftentimes when we're eating pay attention to the background music, but restaurants are more strategic than we probably think with the music
sure.
they're picking to like create a vibe and, get you whether there's restaurants that have like faster music and it's really upbeat because they want you to like eat quick and get out and turn the tables fast, or
Right.
it's like a slower, more relaxed, or like that romantic vibe. Is that, is setting the vibe part of what you guys work on and do during that dinner music time?
That's a great analogy right there, Shannon. That's exactly pretty much what it is. It's a vibe that we're trying to create, and with that is what we started talking about just earlier was getting to connect with your audience, with your crowd, with your guests. And what we mean by that is, yes, you can have a playlist that's just playing that either you or the client or both of you have picked together, but it's really important to see how those songs are affecting those guests. Like if you're playing certain songs and you notice that nobody's vibing to the music that you're playing, then you kind of take notes. As a DJ, you take notes. Like, all right, they weren't really feeling. Let's talk about decades. They weren't really feeling the '90s songs that I was playing. Maybe we won't do that much '90s. But then as soon as I started hitting like that 2005, then they were like, oh, singing along at the table, and you're like, okay, so these are notes as a DJ that instead of like walking off or taking a smoke break because it's dinner or eating dinner or things like that, you could be watching and learning, hey, what are these people? Because that there is a vibe that you're setting, and that vibe is real simple. At first, it's dinner music. Everybody's either going up to get their plates, or the plates are being served. So at that point, slower, soft music, something in the beginning, but halfway through that dinner, that vibe needs to start changing, because you're gonna want people on that dance floor a little, just in about half an hour, you want people on that dance floor. So
okay, so it sounds like you take this and you're kind of going at it much more strategically than I think, as somebody who's worked more weddings than I should admit. I'm not sure every DJ company does this, but it sounds like there's much more of that strategy. And so you're kind of stepping up the music, right?
Absolutely.
To kind of like build.
Correct. So organically, why do people dance? It's because it's the vibe that you're creating. I can't just tell you, hey Shannon, 3, 2, 1, dance. You're gonna be like,
well, maybe.
People. You're right. Some people can.
Yeah, some people can. And if you have the right stuff in your cup, then you might dance.
Mm-hmm.
But usually people just kind of like don't dance. It's a vibe. It's a process. And like I was telling, I was speaking to Orlando earlier about this. I kind of brought up the analogy of like watching a movie. When you watch a movie, chances are you're not going to really see the highlight of the movie or the point of the movie right in the beginning. They're going to work you up. They're going to introduce the characters. They're going to tell you the work up, and halfway towards the end of the movie, it's like, I'm hooked. It's about to happen because you're hooked on it. Okay, so the beginning is where what we call the dinner hour. You know what I mean? Because that's when you're trying to connect. You're trying to see what's out there. Who are you playing for? And then when it's that dancing time, once the dance floor opened up, that is your time to really shine because you already had those tools. You already know who your crowd is, and that's the time that you need to really explode and really bring it to the dance floor.
Which is an amazing analogy if you think about it, because how many times have you started watching a movie and then 20 minutes in you're like, or a new show, you know? That's the way people sometimes feel about their DJ during dinner hour, you know? And if in that dinner hour, you're already making people feel like, oh my God, this DJ is already killing it. I can't wait if you have that feeling already during dinner, your dance party portion of the night is going to go amazing.
I remember there was this one wedding that I was a guest at, and all the way through dinner, I kept being like, oh, damn, I love that song. Oh, damn, I love that song, right? Yeah. Like every time a new song switched, it was so good. And so
it was probably us. Right.
It was I was like young little. I wasn't even in the industry yet.
It definitely wasn't.
Young little chickadee. But I honestly I remember that experience, and I remember being like, "We are going to dance tonight."
Yeah,
exactly what you're saying. It kind of creates that feeling for the guest to get excited, to get out on the dance floor.
Yep. I mean, just think about it. Imagine you were watching a documentary where it was subtitles and it was super boring, and then after that movie, they're like, "All right, so we're going out for drinks and everybody's partying." You're like, okay, I guess, I'm going to need a couple of shots before I get started or something. But no, that's exactly what it is. It's that build-up. It's that build-up that you need.
So to kind of answer your question before, Shannon, I'm sorry for interrupting. It's like, how do we feel when couples say, hey, play whatever? It's like, this is such a great, important part. Let's not skip it. Let's try to figure out, who's your crowd? Are you having an older crowd? Is it a country crowd? Are you guys into sing-alongs? Are you guys millennials, Gen Zs? Like, what are you guys into?
Exactly.
And we can just put a perfect playlist that's going to be amazing. That's going to build them up to that highlight, to that peak where we need them to be. So when it's party time, you don't go from like super boring quiet to the DJ outside like, let's go party. He's like, okay.
Where's my drink? Where's my drink? I wasn't ready. I didn't know we were switching to party.
If you're vibing to the
So what he's going to say, if you're vibing to the music at that moment, if you're vibing, then that transition, there it goes. That transition into party is already in you. You're already feeling it like, yes, I am ready to party. God, when are we going to start? Am I allowed to get up and dance during dinner? Is that like a rule? Because like I want to get up right now. That's how you should feel during dinner.
Yeah, it promotes you want to drink more too. Promotes you want to socialize more. It creates a happier atmosphere overall than just sitting there bored because you're playing Vitamin C Quartet.
Facts.
Yes.
No offense. No offense on Vitamin C. No offense. Me too. No offense.
Not during dinner, not during dinner. So, I think as couples are planning a wedding, there's definitely a few different types of couples. There's the ones that are, when it comes to their DJ, they're not really sure what they want. And they're just like, listen, we're going to trust you. And here's, some parameters. But how do you handle it when somebody hands you the playlist for dinner time? They're like, here's the 100 songs that I want to hear during dinner. Because I imagine that's a little bit challenging with what you're trying to do in terms of creating the vibe and reading a crowd. What do you recommend to couples when they say, I just want to hear what I want to hear?
That's another great question, because that happens a lot. And to be honest with you, it's their day. Okay. We are there to make sure that the vision that they have in their head of their day is accomplished, and maybe even over what they even thought was even possible. That's the goal that you want. But being the professionals that we are, being the fact that we do, weddings every weekend for the whole year, in comparison to going to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weddings in the year, this is where us as professionals have to come in and look at the list. Definitely, because sometimes the list is like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. Let's play off this list.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be that same order. Feel the vibe of the room. Pick the slower songs first. Get the quicker songs towards the end. But sometimes if you can tell that the mood is like whatever, then you just bring up things like, hey, so what do these songs mean to you? Or did you pick these songs because they represent you and your fiance
love story
or things like that? Find out what they mean by it. And then if it's a personal thing, then that's when the MCs start to come in. Then speak a little bit about it. Be like, hey, this playlist that we're playing during dinner is bringing you guys back to how they met, or letting them know, all right, let's pick about 5 songs. What does this song mean to you? So that way we can speak about it during dinner. So people are not bored now. Now it's a story that we're trying to tell, even though the songs may be slow and whatever, but we're going to let them know these are the songs that were picked because these mean a lot to the bride and groom. If they know that information, then it completely switches it.
Yeah.
So it can work. It can work.
That is so interesting, because I feel like if I wasn't vibing with a song, but I knew like that's the first song they ever danced to, or, you know,
the soundtrack to the movie that they first watched together.
Yes, I think I'd probably be like, okay, I hate Titanic, but I can deal with this song if I have to because of that, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That is, so I think that that's a great suggestion, you know, for them to working with your DJ. If there are really important songs that maybe don't really kind of fit into the rest of the vibe, you know, having them MC to explain why that, you know, why that is what it is.
Right.
So do you like recommend people for that dinner time, like pick with a genre, or like kind of have a theme during dinner, like more romantic, or like if they're going to suggest a few of those songs, what would you suggest and how they would choose at least a few of their favorites?
At first, I think I would kind of listen to them to try to figure out, you know, what kind of vibe they're going for when it comes to their dancing, like the open dance floor. You know, you have couples that they just want background music. They, you know, even for like the open dance floor, they don't really want to turn up too much. They just want some background music. You know, it could be a brunch wedding. It could be, you know, daytime wedding. It could be anything. And they might not have that vision where they kind of want to turn up and have an amazing time. You know, and that's the case. And you kind of listen to what they want, you know, want for their dinner hour. Then you have couples that really want to turn up, and it's like, oh my God, we really want to, you know, definitely get the party going. We're big party animals. And then at that point, I think you have to kind of look at their playlist and kind of, you know, see if it's going to fit for them or not. And if it is, great. If it not, then as professionals, I think we need to educate them and kind of like let them know why, you know, kind of like what we're doing now, trying to, you know, let them know why dinner hour is so important, and kind of revisit those areas and try to figure out what kind of vibe it is. You know, like, again, if it's like a Southern country style wedding, you know, there's great country songs, there are great sing-alongs, or great just overall amazing songs that could really take them into that, you know, that high when it gets towards the end. It could be an urban wedding, it could be a you know, Latin wedding, it could be anything. But it's all about knowing what kind of what you know, who your crowd is, who you're trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Satisfy, I guess, to please, okay? And just making sure that that crowd matches what you're going to be playing for your dinner hour, you know? Because if it doesn't match, then it's going to be completely opposite. You're going to have grandparents singing to Drake, and it's kind of like, I don't know what Drake is, you know what I mean? So it just doesn't match up.
I'm not sure I know who Drake is. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. I'm not that lame. I'm not that lame. Well, I think this was so much, you know, good and helpful information for couples to consider and think about as they're sitting down to do their music homework, you know, with their DJ, and sitting down with their partner and their fiance and starting to think about things like that. This is a great place. Dinner time is a great place to pick a few of those key songs, like you guys said, that can tell your love story that maybe isn't really your first dance, or didn't really, you don't want it to be at cocktail hour and then you don't even get to hear it. So it might be a good to put a few of those songs that, you know, really represent their love story along the way.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely.
Well, Thank you guys so much. So Press Play is an amazing member of our Wedding Venue Map preferred vendor family. If you haven't yet been over to weddingvenuemap.com, not only can you search for a venue, but you can go on there and check out all of our favorite vendors here in Central Florida. Where can everybody find you guys when we're not here live?
At the bar. No, just us. No. You guys. You can follow us on Instagram at Press Play Entertainment. You can follow us on Facebook. Same thing at Press Play Entertainment. We like to kind of like always interact with our couples, so we love getting messages. So couples, if you guys have any questions, even though we may not be your DJs or anything like that, we want to glad to be able to point you in the right direction to help you guys out a little bit.
Yes, and don't forget the website right here. The
website for sure.
PressPlayENT.com, where you'll get to see a lot of our videos that we have on there. Because we do DJ, photography, videography, photo booth, lighting. We do a lot of different things. So feel free to just look through. And if you have more questions on this subject, that's another reason. Please feel free to contact us. It's such a huge subject. One thing I want to make sure that we let our anybody watching, our own clients, or just brand new people that are trying to pick out their DJ. Listen, dinner music is key. It's a big point. Don't let that just pass over. As a DJ, as a company, same thing for you guys, man. If this is a learning opportunity, don't let dinner music pass by. Use it as a key to start your party, because let me tell you, some people or some companies wait until the dance floor begins, the dance party begins, and then try to get to know their guests. That half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour is such a waste. If you would have just used dinner for that time to get to know your guest, once the dance floor is open, you already know, and they're already partying. Instead of wasting that first hour, instead of wasting it, just take that hour during dinner, get to know them. And then once the dance floor starts, there's no need for the cha-cha slide, the Cupid shuffle. We could throw those in later, but there's no need for them because you already know your guest, you already know what they want, and you can start off the party.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your expertise today and being our very first episode of Are We There Yet? Stay tuned on our Facebook page and over on our YouTube to find out more and check out our next episode. Thank you guys so much for being there.
Thank you guys for having us. Thanks. Bye.